So now that Sumner has established the criterion for moral standing at sentience, and he's also established that a fetus obtains sentience somewhere during the process of fetal development, he can now fill in his moderate view. So the first thing that can be said is that abortions that are performed during the first trimester of pregnancy, during the first 13 weeks of pregnancy, are morally permissible because a fetus has clearly not developed sentience within those first 13 weeks. Sumner also is claiming that a abortion that occurs during the third trimester is clearly morally wrong because a fetus has developed sentience by those final 13 weeks. According to Sumner's essay, abortions that are performed during the second trimester, the middle 13 weeks, are, in his words, morally indeterminate. The main reason why he labeled them as morally indeterminate is because when Sumner was writing this essay, he did not have the medical and scientific evidence and research regarding fetal sentience that is now currently available. So ultimately, what Sumner concludes is that drawing a boundary for the permissibility and impermissibility of abortion anywhere in that second trimester is justifiable. That was what he claimed and stated in his essay at the time. And that was because the scientific evidence wasn't totally available. Now that we have more evidence available to us, we could potentially give more specificity to where we draw the line between morally permissible and impermissible abortions. And maybe we would draw that line somewhere closer to 20 weeks. That is to say, if Sumner was writing his essay today and had the evidence available to him that is available to us today, maybe he would be more comfortable drawing that moral boundary somewhere around 20 weeks. Now, I think it's also worth saying that Sumner wants to avoid those awkward implications of the established liberal and conservative views. In terms of when abortion is permissible or impermissible, he has taken care of that awkward implication. He is not lumping all abortions together and saying that it's irrelevant as to when an abortion occurs. No, he's saying it is relevant when an abortion occurs, and this is how we can analyze that. He also wants to avoid the awkward implication regarding infanticide and the use of contraception, and I think he probably has achieved that as well. Use of contraception is clearly morally permissible because a sperm on its own or an ovum on its own is not sentient. However, an infant is clearly sentient, so infanticide would clearly be morally wrong. When it comes to the other awkward implication, which was the reason for having an abortion, Sumner seems to believe that he has provided an account that has made improvements regarding that as well. An abortion that occurs in the first trimester, according to Sumner, can be obtained. The abortion can be done for any reason. So in his words, a liberal policy is more appropriate during the third trimester. However, when it comes to abortions performed during the third trimester, Sumner clearly states that personal and socioeconomic reasons are not sufficient justifications for obtaining an abortion in the third trimester. And that's primarily because an abortion could have been obtained during the first trimester for those reasons, okay? There's no reason to wait until the third trimester if those are the reasons for wanting an abortion. However, if the reasons for wanting an abortion are therapeutic or eugenic, and those reasons have only been generated in the third trimester, Then Sumner seems to want to leave the door open for abortions in the third trimester. So that is to say that even though a fetus has developed sentience by the third trimester, if it is discovered that the pregnancy is going to put the mother's life at risk, or if it's discovered in the third trimester that the fetus has some kind of abnormality, deformity, or illness, then Sumner believes that abortions are still morally justified. Okay? Presumably, if it was discovered in the first trimester that the mother's life was at risk due to the pregnancy, or if it was discovered in the first trimester that the fetus had some kind of deformity or illness, then abortion would be permissible and in the first trimester as well. But if it's not discovered until later on in the pregnancy, Sumner still believes it's morally permissible. So one question you might want to ponder is Sumner being logically consistent here when it comes to the reasoning for having an abortion? So that is Sumner's filled in moderate account, and that's also how I interpret Sumner dealing with these awkward implications. Indeed, he believes he's avoided these awkward implications and provided a moderate view that has improved upon the liberal and conservative views.